Welcome, aviation enthusiasts and history buffs. Today, we dive into the story of one of World War II's most remarkable aircraft, the Republic P-47 Thunderbolt. From its first flights over occupied Europe to its terrifying effectiveness against both German and Japanese forces, the Thunderbolt transformed from a clunky, oversized fighter into a symbol of American industrial power and aerial dominance. Buckle up as we explore how this flying tank rewrote the rules of air combat and left the skies echoing with its thunder. April 8, 1943. High above northern France, the sun glinted off the metal skins of a formation of American aircraft climbing into the thin crystalline air at 27,000 feet. Below them, German pilots squinted against the glare, trying to make sense of what they saw. These were not the sleek, lethal machines they were used to. These were Thunderbolts, enormous, ungainly, and oddly disproportionate. Their barrel-shaped fuselages, greenhouse-style cockpits, and oversized propellers made them look almost comical. To Luftwaffe veterans, these American fighters seemed slow, cumbersome, and out of place. Lieutenant Ralph Hermachine of Jagdgeschwader 26, a seasoned ace, watched through his oxygen mask as the P-47s climbed laboriously toward his formation. "They're flying milk bottles," he radioed to his wingman, laughter hidden behind the mask. Below him, 16 P-47C Thunderbolts struggled against gravity, their 2,000-horsepower Pratt & Whitney R2800 double wasp engines groaning under the weight of their 7-ton frames. Yet what Hermachine could not have known was that these oversized American planes were about to redefine air combat forever. The P-47 was a product of American industrial philosophy, brute force, durability, and unmatched firepower. Designed in response to the Luftwaffe's swift fighters, Alexander Kartveli, Republic Aviation's Georgian-born chief engineer, had created what he described as a dinosaur, but a well-proportioned one. The first XP-47B prototype, which flew in May 1941, shocked everyone. At 9,900 pounds empty, 65% heavier than its predecessor, the aircraft was massive, yet it flew like no other. The turbocharged double-wasp engine maintained full power at altitudes where German aircraft choked. Its heavy armor, reinforced structure, and immense firepower made it nearly invincible in the right hands. Training on the P-47 was brutal. Between September 1942 and January 1943, the 56th Fighter Group lost dozens of pilots and aircraft to accidents during practice. The plane could torque roll on takeoff, ground loop on landing, and surprise pilots with sudden compressibility issues in dives. Yet those who mastered it discovered a machine unlike any other. Lieutenant Robert Johnson, a farm boy from Oklahoma, described his first flight as strapping yourself to a locomotive. You didn't fly it, you aimed it. In combat, early encounters confirmed German suspicions. The P-47s could not outturn a Focke-Wulf 190 or climb as quickly as a Messerschmitt Bf-110 at medium altitudes. German pilots exploited these weaknesses, forcing the Americans into turning fights where agility mattered more than raw firepower. Priller of JG-26 mocked the Americans. "They fly like trucks, turn like freight trains, and climb like pregnant cows." But what the Germans did not see, and what would soon terrify them, was the Thunderbolt's true strength. Its radial engine was nearly impervious to damage, and when its guns locked onto a target, destruction followed. Each P-47 carried 8 50-caliber Browning machine guns, a total of 3,400 rounds, able to pour continuous fire for over 30 seconds. On June 26, 1943, Second Lieutenant Robert S. Johnson's P-47 endured a punishing attack by 16 Focke-Wulf 190s at Les Eaux, France. His aircraft was riddled with shell holes, canopy shattered, hydraulics leaking, yet the Thunderbolt survived, limping home with over 200 bullet holes. The German pilot who had pursued him could only shake his head in disbelief. This was not a plane, they realized too late, it was a fortress in the sky. By July 1943, American pilots learned to exploit the P-47's weight, speed, and firepower. The boom and zoom tactic emerged: climb to 30,000 feet, dive at breakneck speed on enemy fighters, unleash the concentrated fire of 8 guns, and escape before the lighter, more agile Germans could respond. The Thunderbolt became a terror from above, a flying instrument of industrial warfare. The evolution continued through 1944. Paddle blade propellers and external fuel tanks extended range and performance. P-47D variants could climb faster, accelerate more quickly, and maintain dominance at high altitudes even against heavily armed twin-engine German fighters like the Messerschmitt Bf-110. By D-Day, over 500 Thunderbolts provided air cover for the invasion, annihilating any German opposition. Entire columns of vehicles vanished under concentrated P-47 ground attacks, their machine guns acting like sniper artillery from the sky. Across the Atlantic, in the Pacific, the P-47 proved equally devastating. The 348th Fighter Group used them to patrol vast distances over New Guinea. Japanese pilots, accustomed to fragile fighters like the P-40 or Ki-43, were unprepared for their armor, endurance, and firepower. Some P-47s, like the P-47N, could escort B-29s all the way to Japan. Even jet aircraft like the Me-262 were not entirely safe. Diving Thunderbolts could catch them during takeoff, landing, or in steep descents. Industrial capacity amplified these advantages. By the war's end, over 15,600 P-47s were produced. Factories on Long Island and in Indiana ran around the clock, assembling aircraft from 65,000 parts, 8 miles of wiring, and thousands of pounds of aluminum. Meanwhile, the U.S. trained thousands of pilots to mastery, giving them hundreds of hours of preparation before entering combat. In contrast, German pilots were increasingly inexperienced, exhausted, and under-equipped. By 1945, the transformation was complete. The Luftwaffe, once the world's premier fighter force, existed mostly on paper. Fuel shortages, destroyed airfields, and annihilated pilot corps left Germany unable to contest the skies. German pilots had laughed at the flying cows in 1943. By 1945, the sound of a Thunderbolt's 8 guns, the Roosevelt's piano, was a harbinger of death. The P-47 Thunderbolt had rewritten aerial warfare. Its 8 Browning machine guns, heavy armor, enormous engine, and industrial production turned it into a weapon unmatched in power, durability, and reach. From a comical, unwieldy fighter to a machine of total annihilation, it buried the Luftwaffe under an avalanche of fire and steel, forever cementing the American philosophy: in war, overwhelming material superiority wins. But what lessons can modern aviation draw from the Thunderbolt's design? Could such brute force engineering succeed in today's era of stealth and drones? And how might pilots have adapted if faced with an enemy that matched the P-47 in both numbers and firepower?